a big question because a lot of us do not understand how Medicare works. And again, you need to come back next week for all of that information because I will not be going over that tonight. It's a very good topic though. And, you know, your name?
My name's Jeff.
Jeff, because I need to know your name because I'm going to be calling you. So Jeff, Mr. Expert in Estate Planning. Oh. Well, you know, we just went over trying to... Wait. How do I go back? Yeah. All right, so I did go too far or too soon. I'm not sure, but I guess I skipped a few things. All right. Now we are on page 68. And for those that do not have a workbook, guys, we need to get with it. I love the FOMO aspect, the fear of missing out. So you guys don't want to miss out next week, right? We all want the workbook, right? Awesome. So most people will live longer. That's actually the good news. But there is bad news to this as well, right? So now American life expectancy at age 65. So basically what that means is after you, for men being 86.6, and for women 88.9, I mean, you can say 87, 89, after you pass 65, the possibilities of you getting to that age are a lot higher. That's basically the reason why they specify 65 at this point. It's a lot higher for you to get to this point. It is good news, right? Because now we're living longer. Technically, that's a good thing, right? But there is also the bad news. Why is that bad news? Anyone wants to volunteer?
Because we're not prepped to take care of our own selves for those 20 years.
Well, it used to be 20 years that we would prep for ourselves, technically.
No, I mean like the 20 more years.
Mm. Yeah. So why is this bad news? What is your name, sir? Assured and Jeff. Okay. So the bad news is most people are not saving enough money for their retirement. So one of our biggest fears right now, guys, is the fact that we will be outliving our money. And I know a lot of us are not very familiar with annuities, and I understand that annuity used to have a really bad condescending, basically. And the only reason why I believe that it did have that was because people didn't understand it. Why people did not understand it? Because you didn't have people like us that took the time to teach you what it was, to show you what it would do for you, and educate you on what the benefits and not benefits are, because everything has pros and cons. We already know that. So therefore, one of the reasons why annuities is actually becoming a big deal is because annuity actually gives you the ability of having lifetime income. Lifetime income used to come from our pensions, which are no longer available to many, many of us. And everyone coming into the new workforce will not have that as an option, period. Why is that? Here it is. Because we're living longer. That's really the reason why pensions are not anymore available. It's because the pensions used to come from the employer. The employer used to have to pay for this. So now they're paying for somebody to live. Back then, they used to pay for that person to live just for 10, maybe 15 years if they were lucky. But now you're paying 10, 20, 30 years sometimes. They don't have that kind of money to pay someone that didn't contribute, quote unquote, to that particular pension. Why do I say didn't contribute? Because it's not the same as a 401k. Two different things, but again, we'll get into more detail on that. I just get really excited about it. So, is retirement age really anything to do with an age? So how many of us will retire tomorrow if we have $5 million? Only 2 people?
$5 million?
I'm just asking the question. I just threw a number out there.
Nah.
No, $5 million is not enough for you? She said yes. Tomorrow $5 million is enough for her. That's because she knows how money works, so she'll put her $5 million to work. She's not living off $5 million. Hello, guys. This is why I know you guys need to be here more, because she's been here more than enough times to know that $5 million is only $5 million today. But it's not supposed to be $5 million forever.
But what about taxes and stuff? You're not gonna...
That's why you learn how money works. That's why you keep coming back and learn how money works. Why? Because you need to learn about taxes. What else you need to learn about?
Everything.
Inflation.
What is going to be worth in the next 5 years?
That's just the 2 things you need to be worried about right now. Inflation and taxes. The third will be, rate of return in time, but that's a whole nother topic again. But just gotta keep coming.
She's good.
So again, retirement has nothing to do with age. Honestly, society has made it seem like it's supposed to be an age thing, and that's again because they had a specific system developed. What was that system? You would go to work for 40 years in one company. You get 40 years of your life from 20, 25, I guess, their average age, to 65, a 40-year work life. And they were supposed to show that they took care of you because you just invested 40 years of your life to this company. So the point is for you to get taken care of because they figured, okay, I'm good. They're doing whatever they're doing for me for 40 years. I'm going to take care of them for 15. 10 to 15. This is literally the rate on return, ROI, or whatever the case might be for this particular company. Times have changed. You don't have anyone for 40 years anywhere. So again, companies are not investing that much time and money for people. Now their time and money invested in people are now in the new lunches or the new spaces for people to get creative and stay around a little longer. Times have changed, guys, but money has not changed. The only difference is money has never been taught to us in schools. So you guys don't necessarily realize that the money aspect of education and how it works hasn't changed. It's just the topic of conversation or the topic of money hasn't been exposed to you guys enough, or any of us, to be honest. And that's the reason why it seems like it's a big deal or it's a new thing, but it's not a new thing. Money has not started to work the same way that it works now compared to before. Same thing, money is money. I mean, I know some people are into the crypto, Bitcoin. Again, another topic of conversation. But we're printing money every single day. That Bitcoin, crypto, not saying that it's not going to happen, but right now it's just not where it's at least not for retirement purposes. Maybe for, those 18-year-olds that have a lot of time to invest. So, sources of retirement income for an average 65-year-old. So now, I hate to look at this whole thing as an average because, again, 65-year-old is just an age that the government determined. Based on many different aspects. I'm not saying that there was not a lot of thought behind it, but there was many different components. One of them that we just identified, the 40-year work period. And so therefore, they're particularly taking people at the 65-year age that might necessarily not be retired. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at this pie. So right now, I did mention at the beginning that there were 3 pillars in our retirement income. Right now, you see 5. Now, the 3 major ones that you see here, though, however, are Social Security being number 1. What's number 2? Earnings. That means you have people working. Earnings is earned income. Earned income means you have to physically go earn it. So therefore, that means people over the age of 65 or 65 are still working. And because we have income from assets, that does mean that it's not a particular business. And if it's a business, it is a self-employed business. A lot of people have the misconception of believing that because they have a business, quote unquote, they have a business. But no, if you are working for yourself and have 2 employees, you're practically self-employed. There is a difference between being self-employed and running a business. When you're running a business, that means you do not have to show up physically, but you're still earning money. So that person that has a salon with 5 chairs rented and doesn't show up for their chair, they're still getting paid if that 5 people show up and pay them rent money, right? Mm-hmm. That's the business. Because a business, you don't got to get technical and think it's got to be a restaurant, it has to be so technical. It doesn't. Understanding what business means, meaning you do not have to physically show up, but you still earn money, that is a business. Self-employed, you are the salon owner. In order for you to make your own money, you have to go to hair. There is the self-employed concept of that, of course. But again, she's running or he is running a business because if they are sick, don't show up, they still get paid that day because everyone has to pay them chair rent. I guess that's what they call it, right? Right.
Chair.
You know what I mean? So again, Social Security, other, I'm not even sure what that means. That's probably them having a garage sale and selling everything that they own that they didn't need before. Earnings because they have to keep working. Income from assets, and now that's basically passive income, any investments that they have outside of their 401k, annuities, and IRAs. Because when you think about these particular accounts, those are also considered investments. Yeah. When you're investing in these particular accounts, you are considered an investor, I'm sorry. So a lot of times people are like, I don't invest in anything. Do you have a 401k? Yeah. So you're an investor. That is the reality. So that's the reason why you need to understand what it is that you're doing. That's one of our main goals here, is for you to understand what do you have, what are you doing, and what do you need, most importantly. Because how many of us have a 401k? Okay, a handful, I guess, 4. How many of us understand how that works? All right, so Jeff, so you were gonna be my go-to guy. When you opened your 401k, what was the thought process behind it? Did someone ask you, hey Jeff, how much do you want to save in the long term?
No, I wasn't asked. It was from my own personal knowledge of 401k. But it just so happens my employer matches my contribution by 6%.
Right.
So
Matching is a whole other conversation we're having after I explain 401k. But okay.
But yeah, I did want to contribute because I want to have something there to live off of as well when I'm ready to retire.
Do you know how much money you plan to have in that 401k?
I haven't thought about that yet.
Okay.
I'm not sure if I'm gonna, roll it over with somewhere else or stay or I haven't got to that decision yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because one thing I realized is that a lot of us open a 401k. One of the reasons why we do that, and one of the only reason why I would recommend you do that is because you're getting a match. If you're not getting a match, nothing against 401ks. I personally do not believe you should be contributing to a 401k if you are not being matched. Do a Roth IRA any day.
Yeah.
But again, I said at the beginning, this is not supposed to be financial advice, etc., etc. So, and I mean, there's many reasons behind that. It's because of the way that 401k works, especially because right now it's a tax advantage. But 20 years from now, I mean, let's be serious. We are in a deficit as a country. So you really think our taxes are going to be less in the next 10, 20 years? Even though a lot of people are banking on the fact that, okay, today I'm making 6 figures, that's the only reason why I'm at the 30 percentile, because by the time I retire at 65, I'm not going to have any income, so my percentile is 10 or 20. Is that real? Based on what? It can very much be 30 at the beginning of 10,000. It can very much be 40 because we don't know what it's going to look like in 20, 30 years. I'm not a gambler. I'm a sore loser, guys. So gambling my money when it comes to that, it's just, I just can't. But I also believe in diversity. So I'm not going to put all my eggs in a basket. I'm not saying that, again, 401ks are bad. Just understand how much you're putting and why. Why are you putting that much? Is it because that's the maximum for your match? Okay, you have a reason. But also, after that reason, calculate. The average 401k, honestly, in the past 20, 30 years, do your research, because I made sure I did it before I said this, it's about 6%. Let's just be serious. And that's the average, and a lot of people don't even understand what the average really means. The average and actual are 2 totally different things, but you should have been here in the asset class last week because Mr. Pagan broke down average and actual earnings in a very, very good way. Because the average of 50 plus and negative 50% is technically 0, right? But not when you do the numbers. So that real average is negative 25%. So even though it says 401k is an average of 6% when you do your numbers, especially when you take into account that 1% fee, 1% fees is 1%, and it sounds like nothing because it's 1, but when it comes to dollars, it's huge. It's huge, guys, and these are all the different things that we need to take into account when we're looking at our ending balance. So your goal is, okay, I'm contributing 6% because my employer is doing 6%. Great, that's nothing wrong with that. But what if 6% is equivalent to 200? That's $400 a month. That's great. 400 times what? 20 years? 10? Now let's do 6% of interest. Now let's take away 1%. Now let's take away inflation. Now let's take away taxes. How much do you really have?
You get market back index.
Yeah. How many people in this room like you have that particular type of knowledge? Exactly. So this is the reason why we do what we do, Jeff. It's because now you're one person out of, let's say, 20 that knows this. 19 people here don't. And maybe out of these 19 people, 6 of them have a 401k, but they're not brave enough to say it because they don't understand it. So this is why we do what we do. Yeah. How many of us, okay, so let me just keep going. So what sources of income will you have? So we went over the pie, and we saw 5 different types of sources of income for the average 65-year-old, right? One of them, and one of the biggest one that we saw was the Social Security one. How do you know what's our Social Security today?
Like, by heart?
Yeah, because I know mine.
Not your social security number.
No, not your Social Security number.
That's my go used to.
No. What will your Social Security look like when you retire? We went over sources of income. We're specifically talking about income.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So if we had a recession, like pretty much like the Great Depression, when it's time for us to be old.
Get our money?
Yeah, that.
That's the way. Go for it.
Does that mean that we're not gonna get it?
Most likely.
Most likely not, or most likely get it?
The most important parts of government will get it before you do. Like when
Right now, the Social Security is being overexhausted. Period. At the moment today. And this is without that recession that you're anticipating. Because you only ask the question because you're anticipating that to happen before you retire.
Yeah.
So right now today, there is an issue because a lot of people not are only using it for Social Security retirement purposes, but they also use this for disability Social Security purposes. It's not just for one thing that this particular bucket covers. And sometimes we don't even know that this bucket is not just for retirement purposes only. Again, educating ourselves is huge. So I'm gonna ask the question again, and I seem to not see that a lot of people do not know what their Social Security number is. How do you know what your Social Security number looks like? Write this down, guy. It is ssa.gov. I know, it sounds crazy, and it's only 3 little letters. .gov, it takes about 10 minutes to register. You have your entire printout of every single income that you've earned that took out Social Security. According to mine, I've been earning income since 2004.
They mail it too. I think it
I heard they used to, but I haven't gotten one since I started working in 2004.
Yeah, they do. I got one before.
I got one too.
Every year or?
Every year.
Oh, okay.
Kind of what's going on right now.
You're not going to because I said so, but you know,
There's no money to
the little statement looks like this.
With tax.
I printed it so you guys can see it. This is technically my number. Yes, I'm sharing that. And that's just based on the income that I've had in the last, since I said 2004, 15 years now? What is that income based on? That particular income today is based on my retirement age. You see, 65 is just the average age that they just put. But do we know what our actual retirement age is based on Social Security? We only have 2 choices, guys. It's 66 and 67.
Mm-hmm.
That particular number is determined on the year you were born. There's a blue book that we share that is totally amazing and that has that information as well. And again, SSA.gov has that information as well. So, just to talk a little bit more about Social Security, and I'm going to let it go, but the reason why I emphasize this particular one so much is because as we saw, it's 38, almost 40% of our income for 65 years and old, right? Mm-hmm. So we need to understand that particular income a little bit more so that we understand that we need more. We need more than that. Again, why? Because we have a possible recession. What does that mean? If we're entitled to $2,600 based on my number, I might just get 13. And that number is only based on my retirement year. That means I have to wait until 67 if I want to get that number. How many of us can get Social Security at 62? All of us. At 62, we're entitled. What does that mean? We can start, but we'll get our minimum. Again, a lot of people just assume, oh, I heard that I'm entitled to Social Security. You technically are, but do you want to cash out on the minimum and then get stuck there for life? A lot hold off until the max, which is 70. You're actually able to gain at least 7 to 8% more in income monthly than you were supposed to be getting.
This is just one of our that we. This is why y'all need to. This is why you guys need to be in here at our free financial seminar workshop. Every week the topic is different. So yeah, make sure that you guys come on down to 2174 Nostrand Avenue, Flatbush Junction. Every Wednesday from 7 to 9, the topic is different, and we're truly helping families when it comes to their money. So if you want to connect with me, make sure you go to my website, odetaking.com, odetaking.com, or you can call me, okay? Call me, 973-842-7927, 973-842-7927. We're gonna cut it now because we're going back into training mode. And then, like I said, we have a couple of rooms going on. We have business partner trainings where we're teaching entrepreneurs about businesses, and we have our financial literacy where we're teaching families about money, how money works. So tonight's topic is retirement. Last week's topic was building wealth, asset accumulation, increasing your cash flow, budgeting, credit, everything when it comes to your money. So come on down and get help with your money. Get your money right before 2020, put things in place. And if you do not know, this is why we do these workshops every week. So just call me, 973-842-7927. So walk with me, guys. This is the other room.